A few years ago, my family and I started an urban farm selling hydroponically grown and chemical-free produce. This idea was spurred to me on family vacation, and it was a challenge that I wholeheartedly embraced. I fully realized once jumping into 10 plus grocery stores, as well as selling to some of the large produce wholesalers here in Kansas City for $3 to $10 a unit on something that I had just grown and cared for 7 weeks, was going to be very hard to obtain the run hard and I'll make you a millionaire. But for me, it was about proving a concept. Like so many other urban farmers in this industry, they understand that there's large capital barriers to entry, but they still have big ambitions to make a change for the United States and maybe for their area locally. For example, my heart goes out to all of the freight farmers that spent $150,000 just on the machine while their company just filed for bankruptcy, pretty much making these machines now only operable by manual labor. The concept my family set out to prove was that these blighted buildings around Kansas City could be repurposed into small hydroponic farms growing various different types of produce categories and be distributed hyperlocally. The salad kits that had edible flowers in them with seeds that you could then go and plant into your own garden were definitely popular with consumers, while selling bulk lettuce, herbs, microgreens, and edible flowers really stuck with wholesale and restaurant providers. Today, I'm so glad that concept lives on with Boys Grow, a nonprofit in Kansas City that takes their efforts and puts it into youth males by fueling entrepreneurial spirit. Maslow's hierarchy of needs contains food, and yet still so many people, just like myself, are disconnected with how food is grown and where it is sourced, and really how it gets to that grocery store shelf. As economists loom about rising grocery store prices or a potential recession, I can't help but think about the lessons I learned about how to grow food sustainably and sharing that with people. I encourage you to make changes that you can control, like being more sustainable in what you consume and how you use it. I think nurturing anything will make your heart pounce, and running 2 operations 30 minutes away from each other with over 10,000 plants definitely taught me that. I believe I became an expert on growing various types of produce in various hydroponic systems, and now I want to share that with you. Okay, so probably the easiest to deploy system is going to be your garden tower that you just saw Carrie Underwood raving about. But if something of that size maybe intimidates you, there's also an AeroGarden that is super easily deployable as well, and it can go straight on your table side. However, if you have a touch of wannabe engineer or hold my beer syndrome, I highly suggest you trying to create your own. These are actually super simple and don't require a lot of upfront cost. Maybe like you guys see a garden tower that costs around $500. Your own system can be deployed in a simple storage bin for around $50 to $60. Most leafy greens, herbs, and edible flowers are going to be okay and can withstand growing in the same conditions as well as nutrients. Obviously, you're going to find whenever you start drilling into how do I have a more efficient yield that certain plants like certain conditions. For example, lettuce heads are going to like cooler temperatures, while your herbs like basil are going to thrive in warmer conditions. Either way, Rule of thumb, more CO2 in your environment is going to create happier plants. And what I mean by happier is that they're going to grow quicker if you have higher levels of CO2. But the nutrients are going to be the exact same. If you're growing or you want to grow with organic nutrients, expect the cost to be higher, as well as expect cleaning to be way more frequent. And if you do just want to use conventional nutrients, non-organic, something like Master Blend or Power Grow, they will work just fine. As long as you're looking at nitrate, phosphorus, and potassium, and keeping your environmental conditions around a 50 to 60% level of humidity and 60 to 70 for your temperature range, you should have a bountiful harvest time over time again. You're going to want to keep your light range similar to the outdoors. So I would set a timer for anywhere around 16 to 18 hours on and 6 to 8 hours off. As you start out with seedlings, anywhere from weeks 1 to 3, your main factors you're going to want to watch are your EC, which is electrical conductivity within the water. Some people also watch ppm, and the other one is going to be your pH level. When they are in seedling stage, anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, you're going to want that pH to be a little bit lower. I would say around a 5.0. And as they mature into the adult stages, weeks 4 to 7, you're going to want to look for a higher EC. So the seedlings, 1200. As they get to adults, raise it up gradually to around 1600 and keep that pH rising as well. I would say a 6.0, and your plants should thrive. Oh, there's so many mosquitoes. Okay, so this is for indoor growing. So expect the pests to be much less, but they can still invade. And if they do invade, I would recommend using neem oil, and use it a couple days before you plan to actually harvest, as well as making sure you thoroughly wash the produce before you consume it. If the pests do start raging on your plants and actually start impacting the quality or growth cycle, I think that Kansas State University had one of the best recommendations when we were battling thrips pretty badly at one of our farms. They said you actually just need to spray the plants with water. That will knock the pest off of the plant, and then treat with neem oil. It will then make them have to actually work their way back up to the plant, as well as then less attracted to the plant. You probably don't want to bring beneficial insects into your house, which I totally get, but I will recommend ladybugs, especially for seedlings. They're really good at keeping them clean and free of any sort of pest, especially whenever the pests are still in their younger ages. But whenever they get to that adult cycle, you might just want to discard everything that you have, clean everything, and start over. If you've been treating, utilizing that technique from Kansas State University and using neem oil, because they will become immune to what you are using. If growing anything like 6 to 36 plants intimidates you, or it seems like too much of a time commitment, but you are still interested in being more sustainable or growing your own food, I highly recommend you start with microgreens. The startup cost for this is super cheap, like $40 at most, for grow trays, or organic cocoa core brick that can be broken down with water, as well as seeds. Microgreens are super quick to grow as well, where your herbs, edible flowers, and lettuces are going to be 7 weeks, around 42 days. Microgreens, most varieties are going to grow within 7 to 14 days, and they are packed with nutrients, guys. Broccoli
Microgreens, for example, one of my favorites, contain up to 40% more nutrients than their adult counterparts. So think of eating a whole head of broccoli or sprinkling a couple microgreens on a soup or a salad or in a smoothie. I mean, you tell me which one is easier. And maybe the grocery store prices aren't shocking you. It's actually a health condition that kind of affects your inability to eat. These are a really, really, really good alternative. Where I normally get seeds are from True Leaf Market or Johnny Seeds. They both throw insane deals on large quantity bags whenever they have overstock. So once you do figure out two varieties or a couple varieties that you're in love with, like for me that was broccoli and cantaloupe, be looking at their clearance section. A single LED light will do the trick for these table side, and nutrients for this are going to be way less of a calculation than it would be for growing an adult plant up to 42 days. You can expect to even just use a homemade fertilizer with old food scraps, put that in, put a shot of that into what you're using for your daily watering, and that will suffice, guys. Also, once you do start to get good, the yields can be like insane. You can lay like 2 ounces of seed down and get 8 to 12 ounces back on a weekly basis. So if one person watching this video could tell another person just a couple of the fruits in this video about how to grow your own food sustainably in your house, we would have a nation full of change agents that are healthier and more sustainable. Efforts towards something that is controllable versus wreaking havoc with someone that has different opinions on what you might think. So get your seeds, supplies, and start a more sustainable journey towards living and a more controllable you. That is one way how us non-legislative workers can try and disrupt what's coming at us. I certainly believe in you, and just let you know, I don't care who you voted for. I totally believe we can find common ground even if we have differences. And so I don't care who you voted for. I voted for both parties the past 2 terms. I know we can find common ground on things that we can control, like becoming more sustainable ourselves. And when you start something from the ground up, do you really ever give up on what you believe in? I don't think so.